couple of years after moving to Vancouver, I started really exploring my musical performance side by playing pubs, bars, and music venues around the city. Pretty well-known spots like the Lamplighter, the Railway Club, and the Yale. I ran an open mic at Kerner's Pub at UBC for a couple of years, and I even had a CD release party at the Media Club. I definitely had dreams of fame. I remember after landing my weekly gig at the King's Head, walking down U Street in kits the morning after playing my first show, bracing myself for the wave of recognition that would come as locals would point and whisper to each other, "Yeah, that's the guy I saw last night. He was awesome." And then something changed. I underwent what I think they call a shift in priorities. Oh, I didn't really want them to shift. In my mind, I imagined they would just broaden. But reality set in and I kind of dropped music. I thought that was how it had to be, that for a time you had music in your life, and then that time just passed as your life changed away from music, that you had to make a choice. You can't stay the same. If you're a musician and a singer, you have to change. That's the way it works. That's what Van Morrison said, and I think of Van Morrison when I think of music because he wrote one of my all-time favorite songs. The first time I remember hearing it was while watching an otherwise pretty forgettable movie, for me anyway, called Immediate Family. Into the Mystic came on during this emotional mother-daughter moment, and it affected me so strongly, to the point where I felt I must be recognizing it as opposed to just enjoying it. I began asking my parents if they listened to Van Morrison when I was little, but that really wasn't my parents' thing. My point is, I realized I had an opportunity to change how I incorporated music into my new life. It's Friday night, and the city is preparing to welcome revelers of all ages. At homes, girls are choosing outfits, shoes, and hair, and boys are doing pretty much the same thing. Some might even be going to places I used to play, but I won't be there. Sure, I'm packing up my axe, putting patch cords and extra picks into my gig bag, performing ridiculous warm-up exercises to get my vocal cords all nice and relaxed in preparation for what's to come. But my hair? My clothes? Meh. I get in the car and drive. It's dark. And while much of the traffic is taking any number of exit options to get them to the downtown core, I continue on, over the Second Narrows Bridge and onto the North Shore. At the top of the mountain highway exit hill, I'm reminded yet again by someone behind me that I don't have to stop, and I arrive here. From the outside, a somewhat featureless, certainly windowless, 14 by 11 structure that could easily be mistaken for storing a Honda mower, garden hose, fertilizer, the kids' bikes, an old surfboard, and, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, a few power tools. It's a space unoriginally, but appropriately known as the shed. For this audience, I'll get into the details. Horizontal lapped cedar siding, building paper, 2x4 studs at 16 inches, half-inch K3 board, 2.5-inch sand infill, half-inch K3 board again, 2x4 studs at 16 inches, 3.5-inch mineral wool insulation, and 5/8-inch gypsum wallboard. From ceiling to roof, it goes gypsum board, plywood, polysheet vapor barrier, 2 inches of concrete, 2x3 rafters, half-inch roof sheathing, building paper topped with asphalt shingles. And the double-door system makes this at once satisfying, but also disconcerting sound when it opens and closes. The building's purpose? Prevent what's inside from escaping. Inside, the walls are graced with the likes of Stone Roses, Rage Against the Machine, The Who, and The Smiths. Even Stephen Harper and George Bush make an appearance, although they're hardly being revered in this venue. There are strings and picks, sticks, amplifiers, microphones, and speakers. Hundreds of watts of power, all waiting for the right people to make it come to life. A familiar face to some here, I would think. I call him the Doctor, or just Doc. I'm not sure why, it just came out that way one time when I was practicing introducing him to our screaming fans at BC Place. And on the skins, the one and only Dr. David Jaster. I met Robert at my old firm, acquired by Stantec many years ago. This company maintained a directory of all staff, including a photo and bio written by each, that was given to all new hires. Robert's self-intro talked about writing music and promising to be extreme if you broached certain topics with him. So at my first opportunity, I introduced myself. Most of what we do is explore. Sure, we have songs that we've written that we enjoy playing again and again, but for me, it's about letting parts of me out that don't really see much daylight. And those moments don't typically happen within the confines of a song, but during those improvisational moments, Those moments when you have some idea of where you're going next, but how you get there and what you do when you arrive are completely open. But you've all traveled there together, walking sometimes arm in arm, sometimes led in single file, sometimes one giving the others a leg up through a tricky section, and sometimes one just leaping off the edge of a cliff and hoping the others will follow. So it's not about where you play, it's just that you play. But music can be intrusive. Sure, it's inspiring and all, but let's be honest, it can be loud and maybe even irritating. But that's what makes the shed so much more than just a shed. It was built to ensure that whatever we do inside stays inside. At the end of the night, while we're packing up our gear and getting ready for the drive home, we recall moments when drum and bass were particularly in sync, creating solid beds for lead guitar to indulgently roll around in, or when we all grabbed a percussion instrument and went all tribal-like, or those few measures when it truly sounded like there was some fourth instrument magically threading its way through what we were creating. And as I'm driving home, I feel bigger and smaller, an important contributor to an ever-expanding musical landscape. Sounds like I'm making an awful lot out of three amateurs getting together for a jam, but there's a reason we do it. There's something it reveals and celebrates in each of us. William Shakespeare said, "The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils." I let the music in me go for a time, but found it again. All I needed was a place to play.